Hey, welcome back to the Step Out and Thrive podcast with me, Bethany Joy. And I'm so excited that you are here because we are in the middle of an amazing series, if you have to ask me. But let's make sure that you are in the right place. This podcast is basically for anyone who wants to do relationships well, whether you're a kid, whether you're a parent, whether you're a leader, whether you're a counselor, whether you're a pastor. All of us are trying to do relationships well. And the whole purpose of this is to really step out and thrive, do more than just survive in those relationships and just get by, but to actually thrive and step out with our relationship with God, with our relationship with ourselves, with our relationship with others. So if that sounds like something that interests you and you like to laugh and you like to get deep into things, well, you're in the right place. So without further ado, let's go into today's topic. I started the series a couple weeks ago, and I share with you all one of my favorite stories in the Bible is from Matthew chapter 14, verses 22 through 33. And it is the story of Jesus walking on the water with Peter. So I really don't know why this story is so just amazing to me, but I just remember the first time that I really ever came across it and was really interested in it. I just thought, how cool would that be to be Peter and walking on the water? Like, I totally bypassed the whole part about Jesus walking on the water. I wanted to be Peter and I wanted to be able to walk on the water. And I just thought it was this calm, chill picture. And if you've been with us the last couple of weeks, you found out that it's really not like that at all. First of all, it was in the middle of the night. Second of all, it was in the middle of a huge storm. And third of all, like, Jesus sent these guys on the water by themselves. Like, what? And so we talked about all these different leadership principles that we're putting out there, all these different relationship ideas that we're putting out there. For instance, the first week we talked about how Jesus sent them away and how the hardest thing about leadership is to really let people go and make their own choices. Know that we're here, know that we're nearby, but to trust God with them, right? That's a huge thing. Parents and all of us struggle with that. So if that sounds like something that interests you and you're going, wow, Bethany, I never thought about that, go a couple ones back and join us for that conversation. I promise I won't bite, and I promise it's interesting. So you can go check it out. Today, we are right up to the part of the story where Peter is stepping out of the boat. He's probably got 1 foot in the boat, 1 foot on the water, and he is having that moment where he's taking that second foot out and he begins to walk on the water, looking straight ahead at Jesus. Now, many times when you've heard the story, we spend like maybe a fraction of a second on that moment because we know what happens next, right? You're already there with me, like, and Peter sinks, right? Well, let's back up. We're not going to even go to that part today. And I know if you're one of those people, you're like, but, I know, stay with me. That's actually the point of today, is that Jesus and Peter were walking on the water. They had this moment where Peter was focusing on Jesus, right? He wasn't even focusing on his feet. The reality is that you have to freeze this picture just for a second. Peter's walking. He can't believe probably what's happening. He knows the storm and everything's going on around him. He's wet. He's cold, but he is zeroed in on Jesus, but he is walking on the water. I mean, just picture that. Then you got the disciples on the boat that are like, what is happening right now? They're rocking back and forth. They're in the storm. They're watching what's happening to Peter. They're trying to see what's happening. And then they see this moment of Peter walking on the water with Jesus. You know, so many times we don't always realize what's going on, and we don't always give ourselves permission to celebrate the amazing moments of what's going on because we're always prepared for, but what if he sinks? Right? What if this whole plan just goes underwater? What if I mess up in this role? What if this person drops the ball with this task that I gave them? What if my child makes a really bad choice? We're always in the what ifs. We're always waiting for the other shoe to drop. You know, I've lived like that for a lot of my life. I've always felt like it's my responsibility to make sure that everybody's okay. We're not going to get into the nitty gritty of that, but I know there's others of you out there that like, oh yes, girl, I feel you, high five, okay? I admit I'm not perfect. That's why I do this podcast. That's why I do what I do, is to admit that I'm not perfect, but I'm learning, right? God is teaching me amazing things through each of these lessons. And so my moment of this came when I was introduced to this practice of interactive appreciation. And if you've been with me the last couple weeks, you know I'm going to mention the workbook, which is free. And the reason I offer it for free, you guys, is because it's been so life-changing for me. And I know when people can get this tool and they can practice it, it will change the way that you encounter your present moments. And so interactive appreciation, what it is, and I'm not going to go into all of it, okay? But I'm going to take you back to that moment when I was first introduced to it. Because around me, there were so many different things that were going on. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to keep the house that I was in. I was going through the transition of being a single mom. I was going through just the very beginning of vision and hearing changes. It just seemed like everything was just circling around me. And then one of my groups introduced the idea of interactive appreciation. And the way it was introduced to just ask Jesus for a moment within the last week or 2 weeks when you just got to experience joy. And I'm going, none. Like my brain could not even connect there. But then the person that was teaching us said this, keeping in mind, it could be as simple as just drinking a cup of coffee, to looking somebody in the eye, to seeing the sun rise or the sun set, to be able to walk out your front door and take a deep breath without, if you're in Florida, without sweating all over the place. Those easy, everyday, amazing moments. And when I thought about that, what came to mind was, and I'm not going to say the word because my dog is right underneath me right now, and if I say this word out loud, he will get really excited. And although you guys would think that's funny, it's not funny. So what came to mind for me was this W-A-L-K. I had to look to make sure he was still there. W-A-L-K that I'd like to take my dog on. And as we were out on this journey, God brought to mind a moment where me and the boys were at the beach and this amazing rainbow just came out of nowhere. And it was one of those moments where he just reminded me, he's like, you may not see the rainbow right now, but I'm here and you know that I provide the rainbow. And I was like, wow, like my mind was not even on that. I had so many things that I had on my mind. And the reason I went out with the dog that moment is to just get my groundings. And God showed up in that moment. It was an immediate moment right there, but I had not really thought about that until the very moment that I was asked to come up with an appreciation moment. And it wasn't something that I had to do. It was something that God did. It was my invitation to freeze time, to go back to that moment and celebrate how God was with me, how God was in control, how God showed up in my everyday. Now, because I've been practicing that, in fact, I try to do it once a day, is to ask Jesus for an interactive appreciation moment, knowing I can't do the same one twice. I try to follow that. I'll go more into that. You can tell I'm excited about this. So I'm not going to go on all that here. But my point is, as I've been practicing it, I will notice things as they happen. So I'll be on a ship and see the sunrise and go, wow, this is an appreciation moment. I'll be in the car with my boys and we'll all be singing like really loud to a song. And I'm going, yes, this is an appreciation moment. I'll be in the middle of a group of 100,000, well, not 100,000 people, but hundreds of people. And I'll have the arm of a new friend around me. And we'll be jumping up and down and praising God. That is going to be an appreciation moment. I'll notice that in the moment. I'll come back later and reflect on it. But you can see, I'll get to see God's fingerprints in the moment. And so in this story, when Jesus and Peter are on the water walking together, that was an appreciation moment. I want to freeze that time and go, oh my goodness, look what happened. Look what God got to do. Jesus invited Peter. Jesus wanted Peter. Peter was wanted in that moment to be on the water with Jesus. That's huge. Friend, you're wanted. Right now, you are wanted. You are being invited into something huge. And there's got to be something in your life right now. It may not be such as amazing as walking on water. If you do that, can you invite me? Because that would be really, really cool to see. But it could be as easy as you got to see your kid's eyes this morning. before you walked out the door and they were like actually excited to see you. Or maybe you got to be on a certain WALK with maybe not a pet, but maybe somebody that you care about. Or maybe a complete stranger that you got to know out of the blue. I want you to begin to do this in your everyday moment, because that is a part of leadership. Leadership in relationships of helping other people see what God is doing in their everyday when we are blinded by the pain and the storms of reality that's going on around us. You see, here's the big thing about this moment. Peter got out of the boat and walked on the water because he was looking at Jesus. He got to choose in that moment to see his relationship with Jesus over the storms that were going all around. He chose and saw a possibility in a moment that the other disciples were like, heck no, I'm going to stay in the boat where it's nice and warm. Well, it probably wasn't warm, but it was at least like, kind of safer, at least they thought. And so just sit with that. It really is an amazing perspective. It is an invitation that we get every single day, and it will change the way you view the world around you. So if maybe you're listening to this and going, oh my goodness, Bethany, like how did you get all of that just from this one moment of the story? Interactive appreciation. And so if you'd like to practice that a little bit more, I've ended all of these last couple episodes with an invitation to you to grab the free workbook and get to experiment with what interactive appreciation is. It's right there for you to go to. You can go to thrivewithbethany.com and you can download it. It's there for anybody. It's a PDF. So come and check it out. And I'm available. So if you got questions, you could always email me back and say, hey, how do you do this? And that's what I resource people with, because I really do want people to see God in their everyday and connect with others and be able to connect with themselves. It's huge, important to me. That is what it really means to thrive and to go beyond just surviving our everyday. If you want a little bit more information about Step Out and Thrive or me, you can go to BethanyJoy.fyi. BethanyJoy.fyi. And we'll be back again next week so you can check out all the resources. And I cannot wait. I really cannot wait to hear how you did with interactive appreciation this week. So let me know. And as always, dare to do more than just survive. Freeze time, practice interactive appreciation, and step out and thrive. See you guys next week. Bye.